Hello there, welcome to Football-Oranje, and here is your Eredivisie Top 4 season preview. We hope that some of you are watching live with us. If you're not watching live, you're watching this back on our website or on our YouTube channel, so you can enjoy a preview of PSV, Feyenoord, Ajax and RZ. This video is for who will win the Eredivisie title. We are, of course, about to do a full Eredivisie season preview, previewing every single team's chances this season. So make sure you check that out too. There will be a video for this and a podcast to follow for a full season preview. Mike, it's going to be a really tight season, I think, for the top four. And so many changes as well with a club such as PSV and Ajax. Where do you see this going? Do you think it's going to be a one-horse race, two-horse race, or do you think all four teams can realistically win the league this year?
I think it's going to be a tighter, very tight between the top four. I think it became like a two-horse race last season between Ajax and AZ. Feyenoord were coming into it towards the end, but I think it's going to be really tight between the four of them. I think you can make arguments for any one of them winning the league. I think there's two particularly strong sides and then two that have a chance if everything falls into place. Like, for instance, AZ, you wouldn't have before last season said that they were going to be main title contenders, and you probably wouldn't say it again this year. But if everything falls into place again and the same happens as last season, then I don't see why not they can't challenge again. But yeah, you're looking at probably for everyone Ajax being the strongest, and then just how if Feyenoord can continue their form from last season under Dick Advocaat, and then PSV under Schmidt's a really interesting project, and I think that they'll definitely be up there. So yeah, I think you can make cases for any one of them winning the league this year.
Absolutely agree with that. And when I was trying to write down my top four, it changed time and time again. Just like the other positions in the table, it seemed that this year, more than any year, I could make a case for any of the top four winning the league. Because we've seen how good RZ can be. They could easily have won the league last season had it continued. Feyenoord this season have got a really stable team. PSV with all the change of manager with Schmidt coming in, and Ajax, of course, being the strongest team on paper really the last few seasons. That hasn't really changed either. So I guess now we can have a sort of conversation about each team and where they might come. Now in fourth place, I've gone for RZ Alkmaar. I'm wearing the shirt. I'm not trying to be biased to any of the teams. I think that they're going to be the fourth best team in the league this year because their starting 11 is probably up there with the very best in the league. But it's if they get an injury, isn't it? They're going to be in European competition. We know that for sure now, Champions League or Europa League group stages. They might try and prioritise that to try and make a good run in those competitions. But in my opinion, I think that RZ are going to be fourth this year because if they get a couple of injuries, they're going to lose out to the other teams. I think a key month is going to be January, where all the top teams play each other. Can RZ realistically play top team after top team every few days with their team? That's just my thoughts. Before I do hand over to you, Mike, if you are watching with us live, or if you're watching this back a couple of days after we've recorded this, please do leave a comment. What do you think the top four is going to look like this season? Is it going to be a surprise team in there? Are we leaving out a team such as Vitesse, Utrecht? Are they going to finish in the top four? Please do comment that as you're watching. Mike, what do you think for fourth place? Who do you think is going to be the least likely to win the title?
Yeah, I've gone same as you. I think AZ Alkmaar. I think the signs for they're showing in pre-season and even the game against Victoria Pilsen, they're so lucky to get that penalty in the last second, and then they just won it in extra time. I think that on paper the first 11 is strong, but then you see what happens if Stengs isn't fit or Boadu isn't scoring goals. He's not scored in pre-season, I don't think, and he's struggled so far. So who's going to score the goals for them? Defensively, there's question marks over the centre backs. Like, do you want to play Koop Miners there? Do you want to play him in the field? You've got an aging Ron Blaar. You've got Hazidiakos out injured for a long time, and Voitens is gone. So they're short in centre back area. I know that there's still a long time to go in the transfer window, so you could see them signing maybe a couple of players now that they've guaranteed European football. They'll probably sign a centre back, but there's still a chance that they could lose Koop Miners. I think there's probably going to be interest in him from England, so you could see him going. I just think that the squad depth isn't as strong as the other three that are going to be above them. And if one or two players get injured, then they're going to struggle. I think that the signs so far in pre-season are losing. Lost 1-0 to Ado Den Haag yesterday. Stengs isn't fit. I think, I just can't see them throughout a whole season being able to challenge a stronger PSV, a stronger Feyenoord, and a very dynamic and strong Ajax side. I just can't see it. I think they'll have points to prove. I think Stengs and Boadu both want to have excellent seasons because they want to be able to prove that they can move on next summer to Barcelona, to a big top club. But I just don't think their squad depth's good enough really to challenge for number one.
No, agreed. This starting 11 was the one that finished second and tied with Ajax last season. They could easily have gone on a run to win the league with Boadu scoring the goals, Stengs out wide. Big prospects for the Dutch national team. Koopmeiners in midfield, who admittedly keeps getting put in defence. And I read one Dutch journalist's point of view that he's actually better at centre-back, and that's why he keeps getting put there rather than the injuries. I disagree with that. I think that his impact in midfield is far too great to be missed out. And it's probably part of the reason why they've been losing some of these pre-season friendlies, because of him not being in midfield. But they won that crucial game in the Champions League, although I guess they nearly got knocked out of that as well. They've got that fighters mentality. They want to go and win games. And even their starting 11 at the minute isn't firing. If it takes them a few games to get going, they might already have lost out on the title because they've lost some crucial results in those opening weeks. So I just don't see it. I just can't see AZ win the league. And about a month or so ago, I actually was quite optimistic that AZ were going to throw a massive surprise this season and win the league. But it's not going to happen, in my opinion. So, yeah, AZ fourth for me. I'm going to look at a couple of comments here. We've already got a couple that are saying that one person thinks PSV go in the league. Got another here for Feyenoord. So already you can see a lot more people trying to be a bit more diverse, considering their name's Huntelaar as well. I'm assuming there might be an Ajax fan. I'm not sure. Either way, it's going to be more interesting this season. Moving on to third place, I've gone with Feyenoord. I don't think I've tipped them to win the league ever since they did actually win the league, because they've been a bit far behind what PSV and Ajax can do in the transfer market. They have got some good players, and for me, make that third best team in the league. What are your thoughts on Feyenoord, Mike? In pre-season, they've been up and down, haven't they?
Yeah, they've had some good results. They beat Borussia Dortmund, but
that was excellent, wasn't it?
They've also had some boring. Yeah, they had a 0-0 draw, I think, against was it FC Twente. I think Dick Advocaat got them playing really well before the lockdown happened and the season ended. Can they start up with that form again? Let's see. I think they've had, possibly out of all the teams, the best transfer window so far and the best summer, because they've not lost Kochu, Ferrer stayed, Bottine stayed. I think that Diemers, Linson, and Conte are all very good signings as well, and they've still got Jorgensen and Bosniak up front. I think that all around the squad, they're strong. The only position that I worry about is a right back. I don't really think that they have one. One they've got very young, Geertruida.
Yeah,
I can't see him playing there all throughout the season. I think they need to sign a new right back before the transfer ends, and then there's basically the squad will be complete. But I think all round is very.
One thing I've noticed
see it challenging for the title.
No, sure. One thing I've noticed for a lot of teams in the Eredivisie this season, I know that the transfer market hasn't closed yet, is that the budget seemed quite low because of the coronavirus affecting the clubs. And a lot of clubs are sort of going for that sort of strong 11. They're not really deepening their squad, and they're actually trying to thicken out with a lot of younger players. Young players in squads is quite common in Dutch football, but at the minute they're kind of heavily relying upon them should there be an injury. And Feyenoord, the case is the same. They've got a good starting 11, but there's not really the strength in depth for me to challenge the other two, PSV and Ajax. I like Linson. I think he'll come up with some goals this season, and working with Dick Advocaat, who's obviously a very experienced manager. He's done a lot of things that very, very well for Feyenoord. Last season, we saw them really turn around. And they were exhibiting that title-winning form, actually, before we had to stop in March. Can they rely upon Berghuis all the time for goals? They might have some bad away performances. That was common last season for Feyenoord. They won a lot of tight games away from home. They'd have to do that again and again and again. One thing you can credit them for is their home form. They always seem to be that best team at home in De Kuip. But one thing that is missing this time is the fans. And whilst they might start coming in bit by bit, is it going to be the same kind of atmosphere in De Kuip as it always is? Because I think that Feyenoord have the best home atmosphere of any of the teams in the Eredivisie. Them and NAC Breda, I think, have got the best atmospheres in the Netherlands. That can make the difference to Feyenoord. And if they don't have that, they're not going to win game after game to game at home to win the league. So it's one of those reasons, again, where I just can't see them getting enough wins. You do just have to be relentless in the Eredivisie.
Yeah, there's a lot of us got to rely on the form of Jorgensen as well. I think that for the past couple of years, he's really struggled for his form ever since he got linked to that move to Newcastle, which broke down, and he struggled after that. Does he start, or does it go to Bosnick, the young striker? And it's a shame that Sinisterra is out for possibly until the new year, because he's such an exciting winger as well. I think he would have made a difference for them. But yeah, I'm excited to see some of the youngsters come through, as Arkan's played well in pre-season. Berger's played well in pre-season. I'd like to see them to get a chance, especially Berger, because I think he was around the starting 11 when Jaap Stam was there, and then got sent out on loan to Excelsior. Did well in the second division, but now it's time to step up to the first team. I think that he's a future
about Berger.
International.
Agreed. I think he's a good player. Do you think that he could be better at centre back? Because he's been put in midfield a lot, and Feyenoord is short of centre backs at the minute. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've seen it in pre-season. I've seen people commenting that they could play him there instead of Botteguin, and yeah, it's interesting because he's got all the attributes to be a good ball-playing centre back. If Koopmeiners can do it, if Frankie de Jong could do it, I can't see why Wouter Berger can't do it. It's definitely an interesting option for Feyenoord. And it's a position that they are not the strongest in since Sven van Beek's been injured again, and it looks like he's out for a while. So yeah, it's an experiment that could work for Dick Advocaat, especially if he needs to rotate the squad for some games. It's an interesting option, because I don't think right now that Berger will get ahead of Leroy Fer. If Leroy Fer stays fit, he's going to be the starting DM in that side, and then yeah, if you want to play him, then maybe centre back is the option.
Yeah, they've got some really exciting players at Feyenoord, and I can't wait to see Sinisterra back fit and firing. He's got the potential to be one of those goal-scoring, attacking wingers that can win games for Feyenoord. We were starting to see that last season before his injury. He's really got potential to do the business up front. Him and Linson could really come with lots of goals. Who do you think is going to start up front most of the time? Is your money on Bosnick or Jorgensen?
I've got a feeling that he's going to pick Jorgensen at the start.
Right.
I think he'll get the nod for the first couple of games and see how it goes from there. I did put a poll up on our Twitter a few weeks ago saying who should start up front, and Bosnick won it. But I think Jorgensen scored a couple of goals since in pre-season, so I think if he has his confidence back and starts scoring straight from the start, then Jorgensen will be the first choice striker, where Bosnick is the substitute. We'll just need to see it. Jorgensen is one of these players that you just can't tell if he's going to be firing or not. So we'll see how he does in the first couple of games.
Sure. So we've both gone for Feyenoord third and AZ fourth, leaving us as a toss-up between PSV and Ajax. I'm quite curious to hear you've gone for second place, Mike.
I think it's going to be really close, but I have gone with PSV. I think that Schmidt's going to really transform them this season. I think that in pre-season they've already looked like they're getting better and better and better. They hammered Hertha Berlin yesterday 4-0, and you can see that his tactics are starting to work. He's brought new life into certain players like Rosario, who's apparently been immense during pre-season. You've got youngsters like Madueke coming through. Malin's back fit, scoring goals, and then I want to see his partnership with Lammers up front. I think that's very exciting. I think Gakpo was really coming into his own towards the end of last season before it got shut down. I think he'll be firing, but yeah, it's just the defence I'm just not sure about. They've got a new goalkeeper who's going to play the ball out from the back. I think that's something that they needed, but they needed a new left back. I know they've been linked with Max from Augsburg. That would be a great signing. But then I need a new centre back as well because the centre of defence isn't strong enough at the moment. So if they get another couple of signings, then yeah, they definitely can challenge. But yeah, I'm excited to see Schmidt's tactics working, and especially with Hatteran, who's a sensational talent, and I can't wait to watch him week in, week out this season. Deservedly got his first Netherlands cap, which is probably not just for football reasons, probably to stop him picking Morocco as well. But yeah, if I had to pick a watch this season, Hatteran would definitely be in the top couple. So yeah, I can't wait to see how Schmidt does. I think right now, until they sign another couple of defenders, I can't say that they're my favourites for the title.
One thing I can definitely say for sure to those that are watching, and to PSV fans as well, is I know that there are signings coming for PSV. I don't know who they are, but I've been told by someone who follows PSV very closely that they are coming. One thing that is a worry though is they won't have lots of money to spend because of the coronavirus, but also because of a lack of Champions League money coming into the club, meaning that they can't just go and splash 20 million on a player, whereas Ajax could do that if they wanted to, and they have. They've spent tens of millions on a couple of players already. So with PSV, they are going to sign a new left back, and that guy from Augsburg does look good. He looks like a very attacking left back as well, with just what you need for PSV. But the centre back is also what you need, and I'd heard in the media that the South Korean centre back is too expensive for PSV. That would be a worry for them if they can't then start to afford players. Then you're starting to look at third and fourth and fifth choice centre backs on your list of players that you want. So that's going to be a concern. What is good though is they've kept Denzel Dumfries. He's going to be captain in the side again. He didn't have some great games last season, but really started to improve as the season went on. I think he just felt more settled within the team because he may have been looking at a transfer away last summer, but he's staying again. That's good for them at right back. They've got enough players. They've got good squad depth because of the young players that have returned to the club. Mauro Jr. as well is a good attacking player who's been put a left back a bit, but I'm sure that he'll add to the squad. And we haven't even mentioned the impact that Marlon, Lammers, Madueke, how good a preseason he's had. Sam Lammers as well has actually had a very good preseason, hasn't he? He's scored plenty of goals. They've got all his attacking options. Cody Gakpo. Where they're all going to fit in, well, I think it's going to be from PSV playing a 4-4-2 formation with two wingers, two strikers, and then a couple of deep double pivot midfielders. Rosario will be one of them. It's interesting to have a couple of German coaches coming into their Eredivisie this season trying to play a 4-4-2. And I wonder how long he'll persist with that and if it'll work. And if it does, yeah, you could really see PSV challenging Ajax for the title if they can win game after game after game. Is there anything else you'd like to add about PSV, Mike? Because I think that Daniel Marlon is going to be absolutely vital to their chances of winning.
Yeah, I've actually got Daniel Marlon as my favourite to be top goal scorer this season. I think if you do play 4-4-2, I think that Marlon and Lammers, I mean, you can pick a better two. Mainly for Lammers' hold-up play and his passing ability. I think the two of them will really click up front. We've already seen it against Hertha yesterday. They both got on the score sheet. And yeah, attacking-wise, PSG are fine. They've got so many options. I mean, we've not even mentioned Douan or Bruma yet. These are just two players that they'll have on the bench as well. And then they've got youngsters coming through. Rigo, they've got Perot. Yeah, they've got so many options up front. It is just basically defensively that they need to improve. Meng did look like a good signing, but yeah, 15 million for a player from Beijing. They don't really know if he's going to take to Europe is a bit risky. I think there's cheaper options for PSV. There's a couple even in the second division that they could go for. They've been linked to other clubs, Mickey van der Veen or Volendam, one of them, or even Van Drongelen from.
Yeah, it's not a bad option.
Who's you get promoted, so he might leave. There's options for PSV that are cheaper, and I think that towards the end of they will bring those players in. So I think last season was that. Yeah, last season was terrible for them, but I think this season's going to be much better. If it can keep Malen fit, they can keep Hatcher fit, and Lammers as well. I think they're going to be fine. I think it's going to be much tighter and much closer to Ajax this season.
You're just cutting up a little bit there, Mike, in the stream. But I think we'll call what you were saying about how last season they were having all these problems. I agree with that. They weren't close enough at all. They finished fourth in the league, and all of these attacking players can definitely make something special there. We're going to be harping back to the times when Memphis Depay was acting as a forward for PSV, getting all these goals, and yeah, I guess we haven't properly replaced all those goals since he left. So I think it would be an important season attacking wise for them. Now, Mike just dropped out of the stream, so we'll try and get him back as soon as possible. But I think that we'll keep the show going, and we were going to talk about who is our favourites to win the league. And for me and for Mike, we both went with Ajax as our favourites to win the league. If you disagree with us, please do leave a comment if you're watching live, or if you're watching a few days after, do leave a comment below, and it'll be interesting for everyone else to see who you think will win the league. What is your top 4 ranking? The reason why I've gone with Ajax to win the title is because they have a really big squad, lots of different options. Anthony has been exceptional in pre-season, getting loads of goals, and he just really fits in with the system. Also, we've got a really strong defence still from all of those players that were signed, and Perskers now looks like he's going to be the new starting centre-back. He's expecting a big season from himself, so we'll have to see how much of an impact he can have. I'm just going to bring Mike back into the stream. Here he is. Mike is back. The one-man show is just carrying on there for a minute. I was just opening to the fact that Ajax have got a really big squad, and I think that Perskers is going to have a really good season at centre-back for Ajax. And Anthony as well is a really inspired signing. He seemed like he was going to be someone for maybe the season after, but I think he's really had an impact now. And in all these pre-season games, it's not the fact that Ajax have been winning all these games, because it's pre-season, it doesn't matter, but how good and how fluid that attack looked, especially with Anthony in it. And Sirs as well, a centre-back, I think is really solid. He's starting to look a lot more like Matthijs de Ligt.
Yeah, which is what they thought they signed when they got him from Fortuna Sittard. Yeah, I think the Ajax going forward are looking really good. Anthony's looks excellent up front. Promise looks in good form. It's just got to be who starts through the middle. I think Labiad's had a good time as a false 9. But then you've got Tadic, who didn't exactly live up to his second season last year. But I think that he'll start up front, and then Traore as well, and then just signed Huntelaar for another year as well. You've got so many options up front, it's crazy. But yeah, the fluid attack of Promise and Anthony looks very, very promising for them. And they've got Neres coming back into the fold as well. Mm-hmm. So I think those 3, if they start, then they're going to overwhelm defences, just their pace. I think Kudus looks like an excellent signing as well. And yeah Skurs at the back. Skurs at the back looks so solid. He only played 17 times last season. You kind of wonder why he got the Netherlands call up after so little games. But yeah, I think that his form in pre-season kind of proves that he's on the right track. The only issue he's going to have is who they play next to him, because you've got Martinez probably filling in while they figure out what's going on with Daley Blind, and hopefully Blind can come back and Blind can continue playing. Obviously, it's pretty scary what happened to him last week, and we hope his heart issues aren't too bad. But yeah, I guess it's a wait and see, because if they need to sign anything, it'll be possibly a left back. If Tagliafico goes, I think he will. And Ten Hag said he isn't planning to sign a new midfielder if Van de Beek goes. So we'll see what they add to the squad next week. Luis Suarez is obviously the big one that everyone's getting excited about, but we'll see if that's financially possible if Juventus getting linked to him as well. Because Suarez up front would be incredible, but I think even if he doesn't come, I think Ajax are totally covered up front.
Agreed. It's not about having a set 11 for Ajax, and I think this is what sets them apart from the other teams we discussed today. They don't need to have a settled 11. They don't need to have a starting striker who's always going to play. because of the options they've got. It's going to depend on the opposition they play. They might even need to play Tadic and Traore up front, up top together if they're chasing a result, or if they're at home to a lower ranked side, for example, in the league. They've got the goals in the team. I'm not sure that's going to be a problem without Hakim Ziyech, despite the impact he had. I really think that Antony's had that impact to not like replace him. He just does things in a different way. And it just means that they can use a lot more pace in the side, like you just said there. And that can pick apart teams in a very different way. And having David Neres back is going to be so good for them as well on the wing. We talked about all these positive points. Someone in the comments as well, Ajax and Turlik, he thinks that Ajax are definitely going to win the league this season. They are the favourites. But what kind of things will make sure that Ajax don't win the league? What's the counterpoints to all of this?
I think you saw it last season where they dropped points in games that they should have won. I think the Champions League became such a big thing for them last season. I think that players like Ziyech and Van de Beek and Onana and Tagliafico, they all got themselves so hyped up for the Champions League games that when it came to some of the Eredivisie games, that their attention dropped. And even in games against AZ that they lost twice, I think the intensity wasn't there from Ajax. It was there from AZ, and that's why they won them, and won them comfortably and deservedly as well. So Ten Hag really needs to drill into this team that, you know, the Eredivisie is the first and foremost priority, and then whatever happens in Europe happens in Europe. I think it'll help. Ziyech was a sensational player, and Ziyech last season was incredible for Ajax, but I think this is a new Ajax, and I think it's one that's going to be hungry for the title. If Ziyech and Van de Beek are gone, this new team, I think we're going to be firing on all cylinders. I've not even mentioned Gravenberch yet. Like, how exciting is he going to be this season? It's going to be incredible. I think they're going to be much more motivated this season to win the title, prove that they are the top team. I think AZ, what happened with them, might have irritated Ajax a little bit last season. Even Ten Hag has something to prove, because a year ago he was getting linked to all the top jobs. Now he's not getting linked to really any. I think there's a lot to prove from Ajax, and I think they are going to prioritise the league title. And I'm excited to watch them in Europe as well, because players like Antony and Neres coming back into Gravenberch in the Champions League, it's exciting again. I'm excited to watch Ajax, whereas last year sometimes it was a bit of a, not sure, but just they weren't as fun to watch as they were the season before last year. I think the fun's back with the new players that have come into the side, like Antony, like Kudus, youngsters like Gravenberch. If we eventually get to see players like Old Wrench, who've been so good in pre-season, the excitement's coming back into this Ajax squad, and I can't wait to see them play.
And another player that I don't think we've mentioned so far when talking about Ajax, Noah Long. I think he's been one of their best players in pre-season, him along with Labiad. However, you said that 2 months ago that those two would be the standouts in pre-season, and Wrench as well in defence. I think you'd been very surprised. But that's how these young players can really surprise you in this league, that they just come out of nowhere, and they're not always the most favoured young player. I mean, like Ryan Gravenberch's been going for quite a while throughout the youth ranks, and everyone's been picking him out, and he will go on to be a superstar, I'm sure. But then we said the same with Rashedli Bazur, who's now at Vitesse. So you expect a lot of some of these young players, but some of them can also really surprise you. And I think Noah Long's going to be one of those this season. He will be a starting player with Ajax. So that's our top four. And if you've just joined us live, or if you have been with us this whole half an hour, then you might have forgot who we've gone with our top four. We've both gone with exactly the same top fours, but I don't think that means that the league's predictable. I think we're just great minds think alike. We've both gone with Ajax to win the league, PSV a close second, Feyenoord and RZ third and fourth. But again, you could make a case for any of these top four teams to win the league. RZ finished very high up with Ajax last season for a reason. They've got some excellent players. It's just a case of whether they can keep a paper-thin squad fit and firing if they're going to be playing all of these condensed games, because the season's going to be shorter now. You've got the international players being called up from RZ as well, plus all these European games that we know they're going to be playing in midweek. I just don't see it happening. And we had a comment here, again, from the Ajax fan. I don't think we'll certainly won this year. yeah, hope we don't. But then that's the way with Ajax, isn't it? Players come and go from that club, like all Dutch teams. And I think that Ajax will be all right if they do sell Onana, if they do sell Van der Beek, who's on his way to Manchester United, is a rumour today. A very strong rumour as well. And Tagliafico as well going. I think Ajax might sign a replacement for him. But I think apart from that, they might just survive without that, because they have so much in attack to win the games. And if Spurs can really have a good impact at centre-back, they won't be conceding so many chances in the air. One of the criticisms I had for Ajax was that they were weak in the air last season, playing Veltman at centre-back, Daley Blind, who aren't always the strongest in the air. Spurs could probably change that. Yeah, I think, though, if Onana goes, it might be a season for Martin Stekelenburg being the regular in goal. What do you think about that, Mike? He's 37 and not played regularly for years, but he's been a steady pair of hands in pre-season.
Yeah, I mean, he's not him down in pre-season so far. He's an experienced goalkeeper. He's a good goalkeeper. He's Netherlands international previously. He can bring out big saves. He's not been first choice for a while, but I don't think that really impact him in the Eredivisie when you're playing for Ajax and really you only need to make 1 or 2 saves a game. I think he'll be fine. It's in the Champions League that you might see him come up short, and that's the worry. Yeah. I think Onana saved Ajax a lot in the Champions League at times. Can Stekelenburg do that? We'll see.
It's because Onana was so quick off his line. Onana was always quick off his line, wasn't he? It was always sweeping up because the defence was playing such a high line. But Onana would always save them in those kind of situations.
But the fact is, is Onana actually going to leave this summer? Because Chelsea are looking at other goalkeepers. Barcelona don't have any money to sign him. I can see him staying. I can see Tagliafico going. I mean, Leicester City are the newest one to be linked. Van der Beek's on his way. But Onana's one that I can actually see staying for another year, because the clubs that he wants to go to don't have the money to sign him or are not going to sign him this summer. So if any of the ones that I mentioned that could possibly go do stay, it'll be Onana. I think Tagliafico, he'll go, and Van der Beek's basically gone next week. We'll see who to. I mean, Manchester United are the only club that really are getting linked to him right now. But reports are going to say they're just monitoring the situation, which doesn't really make sense if you're going to leave him out of the squad, if you're just monitoring the situation. But yeah, we'll see what happens to that over the next 7 days if they actually come in with an official bid for him. But yeah, Stekelenburg, safe pair of hands in the Eredivisie, but when it comes to Champions League, I'd much rather see Onana in the goal.
Mm-hmm. I think one final point I want to make on PSV is that this is very much going to be a season of transition for them. And if they can go toe-to-toe with Ajax and push them all the way and finish second, that's an excellent season for them because it gives them such hope for them the season after. I think we might see a lot of chopping and changing with their team to begin with. But it's good that they can have that rotation if they are going to be competing in Europe as well. But Roger Schmidt is pushing them hard in pre-season. They've been playing a lot of games, a lot of different tactics for the players to take in. But a final note on them, they are going to be very strong team with all of these different attacking players in a 4-4-2 system.
Yeah, PSV, it's going to be a big transitional year. But then next summer, if they do really well, you're going to see the likes of Malin going. And I've got a sneaky feeling that Madueke is going to create a lot of hype this year. I think that we've seen what happens when, say, Sancho can do something at Dortmund and the English media go mental, and then his price tag goes well up. I can see that happening with Madueke at PSV. I think that right now he's under the radar for a lot of people, especially in England and Britain. But I think as we see this season, I think he's going to explode, and he's going to be one of the brightest talents in the Eredivisie after this season. I think he'll get linked with big money moves next summer as well. So yeah, I think that PSV is a transitional year, but next summer is also going to be big for them in the transfer window, because I can see Malin going, I can see Madueke going, I can see Ihataren going as well. So they've got to really make the most of having these players as they can. I think the big thing on Malin is just keeping them fit. We've seen that he's not in the Netherlands squad, even though he's playing and scoring. I think that is basically just because PSV don't want him playing too many games at the moment. They want him to be totally fit for the start of the season. I think he will be. And yeah, it's keeping them free fit. Madueke, Hatterin and Mount, and they'll be going toe to toe with Ajax. But I just think Ajax are stronger in defence, and that's what's going to be the telling factor at the end. It could be goal difference again. I could see it come down to something like that. I just think it's going to be another very, very tight year. And I think we've not really mentioned Feyenoord, even though we've both picked them for third.
Yeah,
they could easily win the title this year if it goes their way. They've definitely got the squad depth for it. So it's just one of these years where it's hard to predict. I'm sure some people out there would even make a case for Utrecht to even shock after the signings they've made this summer. And a lot of people are saying that Ricky Van Wilswinkel could sign for them again. The squad depth that they've got and the players they're bringing in could easily do an AZ Alkmaar this year. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very exciting year in the Eredivisie, and I think we're going to see a very exciting title race again.
I really hope we do. We haven't seen a proper one for quite a while. Even when Arsenal were pushing Ajax last season, it didn't start off that way, and they ended up catching up after Ajax had some poor results. We don't want to see a team lose a title because of how poor they are. We want to see 2 or 3 teams really battling for it. And I hope this season can be like that. It's going to be very, very close. Mike, thank you very much for joining me. And we're going to now record a full season preview podcast for all of the Eredivisie teams. We're going to be discussing the likes of Utrecht and the chances that they've got this season. Just some final notes. I can see a couple more comments here. Thanks to Ajax94, leaving a couple more comments. He's saying that it's going to be a very strong season for RZ. Agreed. And yeah, he thinks that Onana might be happy to stay another year. He's very important in the dressing room as well, Onana. He really keeps a lot of the players tight-knit together. I know that Mohamed Kudus, who's just joined, really gets on with Onana. And Traore as well, the striker, he says that his big brother at Ajax is definitely Onana. He really keeps a lot of the players close together, and he just seems such a great character to have around. So hopefully he does stay. We've had comments then for PSV Feyenoord and Ajax, one each, to think that they might win the title. If you're watching this after we've recorded this live, please leave in the comments your top 4. Who do you think is going to be first, second, third, and fourth? And make sure you do check out our full season preview podcast, which we're going to record right now and put up on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes for you to listen to. In the very near future, today or tomorrow, you'll be able to listen to all of that. So make sure you keep commenting, liking, and subscribing to Football-Oranje. For everything Dutch football, more soon from us. Bye for now.